three wonderful women from Thunder Bay who are giggling. And you're not on yet, so no one even heard. See, you didn't even know.
Bravo.
See, I have control here at the booth, right here at the desk. So, I just quickly put a status up on my Betty Howls page that I was really excited about today, not only to have you guys here, but because this wonderful exhibition that's going to start next Saturday. So why don't we first, you guys just introduce yourself, who you are, and then we'll talk about what's happening.
Cool.
So Lora or Jayal, do you want to go? Who wants to go first?
Hey, I'm Lora Northway from Definitely Spirit Art Gallery. I'm an artist and the outreach community organizer there.
Okay.
I'm Elizabeth Buset. I'm a local artist and educator.
And I'm Jayal from the Gender Issue Center.
And next Saturday is an important day all around the world, but also here in Thunder Bay because we have this fantastic exhibition that's going on in conjunction with the Gender Issue Center and Definitely Superior Art Gallery. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, Jayal came by Definitely Superior, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, and had a really great idea. She wanted to do something special for International Women's Day, kind of like liven it up and bring something new to the table. So we both absolutely love this artist named Sophia Wallace. We've followed her work for years. And we wanted to find a way to bring her to town and bring her work and her message.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and with Sophia Wallace and the work that she engages with in terms of bringing her own message and transforming from a visual photographer as a visual artist into a photographer into the medium that she's working with now really ties in with the Diactive Youth Collective and Graffiti Walls and with the GIC work that the way in which I engage new audiences is through artwork, and it was really coinciding with Liz Buset and her themes that she engages with, and also with the talk that bringing Liz Buset with her work, there's a pink Barbie gun in the Gender Issue Center that David Ivany, former GIC coordinator, purchased. And the director before me had personal kind of conflict with it being in the space, and I thought, why not have a talk about it? Because art is about dialogue, and in that sense, like collaborating with Definitely Superior Art Gallery to bring this international artist was a really exciting way in which International Women's Day can be celebrated locally in a way that is different from the past, because International Women's Day is often rightfully focused on like economic, political advancement of women, and I think like art is another format in which we can engage new audiences, and I think like Liz and Laura have a lot to add to this.
Yeah, so when we started talking about having Sophia Wallace come, initially it was to do a talk, because she's an excellent speaker. She has video work and photography work and silkscreen and wheat paste and all kinds of sort of like really activated artwork that she does. And we couldn't ignore the chance to bring that visual element. So instead of just having her come do a talk, we hired her. She's being paid professional artist fees, flown down. She's filling all of Gallery 3 with her exhibition, including new works that have never been seen before.
Wow.
And to complement that, a huge honor, I've curated 16 artists locally who identify as feminist artists or political artists to create their own show in Gallery 1 and 2. So the entire space of Definitely Superior Art Gallery is going to be transformed and will honor International Women's Day with the works that we're showing.
So you said that this spun out of just an initial discussion. Wow.
And we had a couple awesome Skype talks with Sophia, and she, I think, is really focused on making sure that the work is active this way. It's not about keeping her, her message in a white cube in a gallery. So she really wanted to get involved, and it's her first time showing in Canada. So it was awesome. We went on her Facebook after, and she had changed her status to, "Oh my God, Canada, I love you." So it was pretty sweet, and she's huge. She's gone viral. Google her, tons of articles, and that's the whole point of her exhibition Clitoracy is to have it become a meme and go viral and help to shape and change our views of women's bodies.
So why don't we take one step back and first say Gender Issue Center for maybe some people in Thunder Bay who are listening or elsewhere that don't know exactly what that means, and then we could move on to what International Women's Day is. First, Jayal, do you want to talk about Gender Issue Center?
Sounds good. So the Gender Issue Center is a Lakehead University Student Union student center, and we are about action, advocacy, and support. And so responding to different community issues as well as being peer support to students. And we have a library that has a host of different books on different topics, including religion, feminism, politics, law, and an extensive DVD collection as well. And in terms of gender issues, the center itself is one of the oldest activist centers on campus here. And so by providing services addressing different ways in which we, in terms of our identities and the ways in which we are oppressed, there's intersections, so addressing racism, sexism, ableism. That's what the GIC is about. And in the past, just having conversations with former directors like Emily and David and the work that they've done, as well as Sophia, it's really exciting to be able to carry forward the work that they have put their energy into. And so with Guerrilla Girls, for example, my approach in terms of this year was really to get out there. Like, I'm really interested in reaching out to the people who feel that, who don't understand what gender issues or feel that the issues, feminist work is relevant today and to everyone. And the struggles of our sisters in solidarity is something to continue to build that momentum. And I think art is one way in which to do that. And so there was a talk I just kind of wanted to share about feminism and science that recently happened with Northwestern Ontario, the Northern Ontario School of Medicine.
Okay.
And they often talk about science and feminism talking past each other in terms of those narratives.
Okay.
And I think with Sophia Wallace's work, it ties right back into continuing these conversations in a way that engages people of all ages.
Yeah, sometimes feminism and gender issues can seem just people don't understand what they are, and it's a scary kind of concept to ask about, I think, when they don't know, because I think they worry that they're opening a Pandora's box. So it's true, making something a lot more accessible is really important, and actually one of the reasons I have my show, so that's just amazing. So the Gender Issue Center, when I went to university, I was involved there, but there was also like counseling, safe sex information. Is that still all prevalent?
Yes,
Okay.
we still have a lot of brochures, and I've been really organizing around with the task force, the sexual assault, the work there. In terms of, we've done some talks in collaboration with Pride Central as well as Melody McGregor at the hospital. So we have information in our outside of our office that is always available to people, and have assisted with some kind of developing presentations. So,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah.
Well,
Some
that's
fun
great.
workshops too, like the zine workshop, and
That's
then
right.
you did a like
Anti-breast
self-care one
Yeah.
with making like face masks and
With bath bombs.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So now on to International Women's Day. Do you all want to speak about that? Maybe? Laura, do you want to talk about it? a
I
little?
feel like I'm not really the best person to jump into that, but like this is going to be my first full-on, I think, experience with International Women's Day, and it's one that I'm really like genuinely excited about. I kind of just appreciate that we're taking a step beyond what I expected. I thought it would really be, you know, International Women's Day is often talks, and maybe I'm not. Sorry, one second. Jayal, do you want to just let them know what you've experienced maybe for International Women's Day? Because this is my first one.
I would say this is my first as well, and it's an honor to kind of approach it in a different way, because there are some exciting things happening in the city. There's the flag raising that will happen at City Hall, and then a breakfast that's for women to celebrate women by the Unifor 1075, and then in the afternoon it's Women in Politics nonpartisan group who are organizing a lunch, and the theme this year internationally is inspiring change. And I think, like, in terms of being an organizer, I always really want to reach out to the widest audience, and a way to kind of bridge the gap between these different spaces and these different individuals of in terms of accessing, like, having conversations about very layered and complex topics. Art is a really exciting way to do that. So this would be our approach to celebrating International Women's Day, which was in the roots labor movements. And I think that in that way, like, media and art is something that we are bombarded with in both really in our daily lives.
Yes.
And by kind of bringing people together to recognize local artists, we can have that conversation. People can draw what they will from artworks and carry on those conversations.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think there's a long history of protests and walks and things just trying to raise awareness all over the world, even, you know, as far-reaching as India, where probably some protesters have gone through some form of violence, incarceration, and we don't see that as much here in Thunder Bay, but it happens everywhere. And it can be overwhelming to talk about just initially, but I think you're totally correct that opening it up with media and art, something that everybody can enjoy and relate to, is a really great way to start the conversation.
I think I wanted to also just bring in about the work that other women like Michelle DeRosier and also Dave Clement, who worked on the Walk a Mile film project, which made an impact last month, if I recall, that was screened, the series of documentaries addressing racism and having that space and that momentum and that energy. I think, like, building that and bringing back that conversation at International Women's Day in the evening is a really exciting thing to be able to kind of celebrate as well. And as I wanted to also talk about the Northwestern Ontario Women's Centre having their 40 Fabulous Feminist books,
Which we totally will talk about, but I think we should maybe take a musical interlude and then we'll come back, because we have a whole hour, so you guys don't have to feel rushed. One of the great things about LE Radio, I can say you can stay as long as you want and talk about what we want. Okay, so I chose out, the last song I played was actually, I'm forgetting her name now, but she was a part of Rasputina, so I thought I'd play a song from Rasputina just to kind of go with that theme. And I chose Incident in a Medical Clinic as the song to play next. So I don't know if you guys like Rasputina.
Yeah.
I have an affinity for a lot of stringed instruments 'cause I used to play, so, and hopefully we'll play again. So let's check this out, and we'll be back with 3 wonderful women from the Thunder Bay community.
Yeah.
Quite unbelievably, I want someone to be sweet to me when I am in absolutely horrible pain. Thank you for keeping this vigil, doctor. These infections are becoming quite popular. I never meant for it to turn out quite this way. The antidote's been elusive. The specialists can't deduce if this is incurable. Now a disease defines me. My fever intensifies. See, I get to lose it all. almost everybody has snail fever. The doctor whispered in my ear, some could treat it, feel better, some don't. The cause is still unclear. We're able to treat you here. Unwilling patients, your treatments they suddenly discontinue. Dangerous infections sneaking into superficial some escape with their lives. Some survive because of the way that they walk, because of the look in their eyes. Look in their scratch an existing wound, open an old one. It's extraordinarily hard. Succumbing bone by bone, bone and bowel, heart and hand. This disease pervades us all. It can therefore manifest anywhere and anyone at any moment. Dr. Bernstein, quite unbelievably, I want someone to be sweet to me when I am in absolutely horrible pain.
Colonial houses lying on the snow-white street, working out all our problems there in the back of the house where the ghosts all sleep. I know it's impossible, but you should try to shake it off. That shot to the chest, boy, I know you mean it, you mean it, you mean it, you mean it. You're finding the problems here, it's the threat at home of regret at home. I know it's impossible, but you should try to shake it off. And if you really want to shake it off, you gotta rearrange, rearrange us. Just stop and shake it off. You gotta rearrange, 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 rearrange us. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. You were turning in anger, she's staring at the back twin tree. Kicking back all that theory there to the part of your head where it can live and see. I know it's impossible, but you should try to shake it off. With that shot to the chest, boy, I know you mean it, you mean it, you mean it, you mean it. Now I know what's inside you. I know I don't want you. I know I don't want you. I know it's impossible. You should try to shake it off. And if you really want to shake it off, you gotta rearrange, rearrange us. Just stop and shake it off. You gotta rearrange, 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 rearrange us. Rearrange us. Rearrange us. Ooh.
You're listening to The Betty Howls Show here on CILU Radio 102.7 FM. Right before the break, we heard from Mates of State and my favorite song by them, Rearrange Us. And right before that was Rasputina with Incident in a Medical Clinic. You're joining The Betty Howls Show on a very special day with special women here. I have 3 women from the community talking about International Women's Day and a wonderful exhibition that's going to begin that day at Definitely Superior. If you're just tuning in, there's Lora Northway,
Hey.
Elizabeth Buset,
Hello.
and Jayal from the Gender Issue Center.
Hello.
Hello. So right before the break, you were talking about International Women's Day and trying to make it a bit more accessible to people so that they can really engage and start possibly talking about other issues related to gender. Is there anything that you wanted to, I think you were saying you wanted to talk about
The 40 women.
the 40 fabulous women and the anniversary of the Women's Center?
They have a book called 40 Fabulous Feminists, and it captures local women as individuals who have contributed to feminist work in Thunder Bay, and that includes Jen Metcalf, who has the show on LU Radio, Tazim Alani, who is a current student at Lakehead University, and it's important. And the book as a format is a great way to kind of inspire other people to really address issues within their own ways. And so by capturing that work in a book, I think it's going to inspire others to continue the work that they have started. And
Definitely. And I think these women were nominated from the community.
right. Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't necessarily going to be completely women who are involved in academics or completely involved in sex work. There's a really broad scope of women that are involved in the Thunder Bay area.
including Margaret Phillips of the Northern Women's Bookstore.
Oh, really? I have the list at home, but I still haven't had a chance to go through it. And I actually want to have a few of them on the show. I want to get as many on the show as possible, but all in good time.
Excellent.
So maybe we should talk about the exhibition itself and Sophia Wallace. Who would feel most comfortable talking about Sophia Wallace a bit more?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about
Yeah?
Sophia Wallace.
Okay.
She caught my attention by a Huffington Post article that I saw last summer, I believe it was, and there was this video that she attached, or it was in the article, and it was the Clit Rodeo, and I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And engage in terms of her work, she decided the Clitoris project is really clever. I find it really clever because I connect with text-based work as well as different formats of work, like graffiti. And so she combined these facts that she learned and reinterpreted and presents them on these big boards. And
Which is really effective, I think, to a lot of people.
it can be really overwhelming. And she, I think with the Clitoris project, she's trying to shift our own personal and public narratives around our own bodies in terms of coming from an angle of pleasure and how that ties into other ways in which we have shame around our bodies oftentimes.
Yes.
And I think like by creating in terms of looking at the Clitoris project and it's viral, like it's a viral way in which to disseminate these messages,
Yes.
more positive messages about our body, and also bringing attention to the clitoris and it being equally worthy to talk about as the penis. And so that's kind of a starting point for conversation.
Definitely. I think what's really interesting about it is that not only does it draw all this information into the public forum, but it brings it to everybody's awareness. So young kids, grandmas, moms and dads, both can see this information and talk about it and talk about it with their kids, talk about it with their family if they want to. It really brings it to the forefront that there's an inequality about how women see their bodies and how men see their bodies. So I think that was the most dramatic thing when I was looking at it. I just, wow, this is amazing. You
Yeah,
know?
and she kind of hits it on many different levels. So, like, her actual artwork itself is comes in many formats. So you can, like, she started as a photographer, I believe,
Yeah.
and she was, I think, depicting less like traditional couples and like blending gender, and so those photographs is just the start. And then when she developed the project called the Clitoris Project, there's many elements to it. So you'll walk into a gallery space, for example, and see a 10-foot wall by 13 feet. And that wall is covered in facts about what would you say, Jayal? Is it just about the clit, or is it scientific facts in general?
Just comments about like our bodies and about pleasure and all these different really pithy, clever phrases, I would say.
I have a little quote from her about that piece, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, that's okay.
She says, I wanted to create something so big that it would make everyone, including a football player or basketball player, feel small next to it. So this is the giant wall she's describing right now. You can't just glance at it and expect to have gotten it. You have to spend time with it and think about it. So she uses like scientific data, historical information, and references to architecture, porn, pop culture, human rights, all to create this wall, and it has 100 laws. And it kind of, as she says, it lays out her case for the clit.
Amazing. So both of you were interested in her, and you contacted her, and she was just so...
Yeah, well, like Diactive does a lot of street art, so I'm always researching who's doing what now. And so Sophia goes out into the streets in New York and in Brooklyn and does wheat pasting and stencil work, and she'll do it as a group, and it's really like political and engaging work.
And so we have Elizabeth Buset here too, who has work that's going in the show, and definitely feminist in nature, you would say?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we had you on a couple weeks ago, and you talked about how realistic your art is, as well as how large the pieces are. So, what's in this particular art that you've put in the show that really matches what's going on with this exhibition?
Yeah, the work that I'm showing is called Objects of Desire, and it's a diptych that's painted. And it was originally from my thesis work that I did, and I had a show recently, and I was debating whether or not I should put the works in and if it would fit. And I decided to self-censor myself, and I didn't actually put the works in. And so when this opportunity came up, I said, this is what I was waiting for. You know, good call that I didn't put them into the show recently, and this will work perfectly. So what the diptych is of is one is a dildo, a realistic cast dildo, and then the other one is, well, I guess you would call them pocket pussies or fleshlights. So there's a male and a female.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's sex toys.
And how tall are they?
Yeah, they're quite large. I think I'm about 150 centimeters tall. So,
Wow.
yes,
Definitely large.
yeah, very imposing, which is the whole point, right? So they're not supposed to be seen for their utilitarian function. They're supposed to be operating as these symbols. So they're overscaled, oversized, and in a way, I guess it depends on the viewer, but you know, there's this potential sort of menacing factor with them when they're this size. They're quite uncanny to have a phallus that is, you know, that large. So whether that plays on an idea of pleasure or if that's an idea of offense, it's really up to the viewer.
Well, and definitely provocative so that it opens a conversation, right?
Definitely.
So who are a few of the other artists that are going to be in the show?
Well, we have all local and regional. So Christian Chapman, Leanna Marshall. Leanna's actually putting in one of her brand new jingle dresses that she's made. So
Oh, wow.
she's doing some beautiful work. We have like Liz and myself, and we have Beth Haywood.
Oh, wonderful.
Keith Catton, Katie Lemieux. I could go on. There's about 16 or 17 of us. So.
Wonderful. And this show is special in that it starts on International Women's Day. It's only going to run for 1 week.
Exactly, yeah.
So we really have to go out and give it attention and possibly see it more than once, I think.
Yeah, come to the opening. It's like on March 8th, so that's when a bunch of things are happening. So that's the best night. And then it lasts until the 15th.
So Elizabeth, creating these particular paintings, were you thinking about feminism in their time, or were you just inspired by trying to make a statement with this individual thing?
A little bit of both. In the context of the thesis, with still life painting, there's a certain genre called the pronk, and it's just about putting the most beautiful, luscious objects together in a still life. So you would have, lobsters and tapestries and, gold platters and everything. So with that, it was really to appeal to all the senses, all 5 senses, and show the most universally beautiful and desirable objects. And so I thought, well, in a contemporary society, what would that be? Like, what's the ultimate object of desire? And I thought, well, probably the human body, right? That's and especially today, it's so commodified and it's so objectified, especially with women, that I thought, these sex toys would be a perfect symbol of this. And by painting these ones, I wanted to sort of reveal the underlining biases towards sexuality that we have. So they're Caucasian, they're youthful, they're healthy, they're clean, they're always willing, they're always erect. So it's sort of what is sexuality in our society as well as a consumable object.
Interesting.
That's awesome. Can I say something? Like the last time we did the interview and she described the purpose of her other paintings, I was reflecting on these new works, like these ones that haven't been shown yet, and really thinking about how they are the exact same. That concept of like the beautiful still life, and all of that is going to be evident to the viewers when they see it. And you think about, the really old masters and their beautiful supine naked women.
Yes.
And she pared it down. And she also
concentrated.
modernized it because we live in a society now where like porn is prevalent and sex toys they've taken a whole new form now.
Yes.
So I just really like that it's like the old and the new, butting heads like that, yeah.
And for me, too, it's important just to cut out all the poetry. I mean, every advertisement and every love song, it all goes back to sex, right? It all boils down to the final act, but no one will ever show it, right? So, yes, you can show the half-naked body or, the suggestive shape, but it's not about that. Like, by the end of it, it's just, 2 sex organs coming together, and that's ultimately what a lot of those ads are trying to sell you. So, yeah, I just wanted to take the poetry and the romance out of it and say, like, this is it. Here it is, bare bones. And I think, though, too, like, I'm always interested. They got censored. I've showed them twice when I was in Finland, and they were censored both times. And
really?
I found that really interesting because ultimately anyone who looks at them has one or the other, right? And those combined probably created you in most likelihood. So it's this, why is it offensive? And they're not actually sex organs. They're replicas of replicas. So they're porn stars that casted themselves. Then that was produced in a mold. Then that was mass produced. Then I photographed it, and then I painted the photograph. So semiotically, I mean, I don't even know where that leads you, right? So where's the offense there? And I think ultimately the offense is because they really make you feel uncomfortable. Like they are uncanny and they're threatening. I think people are threatened about people taking control of their own sexuality.
Yes.
People being so selfish as lovers, like you don't have to worry about consent. You don't have to worry about pleasing the other partner. You can just do this act. And I think that's what bothers people is the idea of these sex toys, especially the male ones. It's funny. I feel like, sex toys for women like dildos are much more acceptable and they're everywhere. Whereas a man using something like a fleshlight, it's so taboo still that a man would require toys. So I find that interesting.
Well said.
Yes, very well said. But I think that still shows that there's such a big inequality between women and men when it comes to sexuality. And I think I've had many conversations with friends and other people about that a lot of times we're taught to shame ourselves about sexuality from a very young age. And why is that still being taught? Because we're learning it as children, right? And it's pervaded throughout adulthood. How do we get over that? How do you guys think we can get over that?
One giant sex toy painting at a time.
I was just going to comment about the approach that we take in terms of sex education at schools and young minds, and having more inclusive conversations. So one critique that Sophia talks about is like sex education and how often the clitoris is skipped over, and the clitoris being a way of pleasure, and how often boys we talk about like wet dreams, and meanwhile the conversation for females is surrounding contraception and menstruation, and as opposed to
Pleasure.
talking about pleasure.
Definitely. That's interesting. So really it has to come from a lot of different places.
I think so.
Yeah. Which,
I definitely agree with education. I think that's key. And I think another thing, too, is, we teach media literacy in schools, but so kids can learn to dissect the news or advertisements. But wouldn't it be interesting to teach them how to dissect porn, right? So just this idea of these fantasies that are pitched versus the realities, right? And you think of so many of adolescents will go for years of self-pleasure watching pornography until they finally get to do those acts with a real partner, and the difference between the two is obviously quite it could be very staggering. So I think it's building very healthy sexual ideas and ideals.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's been a lot of articles about how the availability of pornography is so much that there's young children looking at child pornography, not realizing that that's illegal, or that there should be a barrier there. And so then there's young children who are charged with owning pornography before they've even reached the age of consent, and how this availability is changing our human sexuality in so many ways we don't even realize the ramifications at all, down the road, when all these young kids are going to reach adulthood and start expressing themselves. How are they going to express themselves? Is violence going to be a major part of it because it's seen so much in pornography? Like, I think that kind of concept is just going to be so far reaching, and no one really wants to talk about it either, because it is a really taboo subject matter, and people have such crazy opinions about pornography as well, so many different kinds. And when I had, we were talking about the sex educators. Who are they called again?
Screw Smart.
Screw Smart. Actually, one of them worked with a fair pornography company so that they could assure you that the people involved were, in a healthy situation. Everything was true. There wasn't a lot of fallacy involved in the creation of it. And I think that's a pretty amazing concept, but it's not very prevalent at all, and people don't really even think about that these people are creating pornography but at risk to themselves, right? Because there isn't contraception or protection used most of the time. So the one first piece that I saw of Sophia Wallace was the billboard. And you see the billboard, and then you kind of look out, and it's in the middle of a highway.
Clitoris democracy
without fallacy.
That's it, yeah. And I thought, I think a lot of people would do a double take. You're expecting an advertisement for cigarettes or credit card. And here's this impactful, crazy statement that's going to make you think for days. And I really hope that people take that from the show, because I think it's going to be amazing. And also so many local people involved with their art as well. I think everybody should be so excited.
I'm really excited about Liz showing the work that she has selected, because I think it's very bold of her. And in terms of like being an artist, I think taking risks is an exciting way to put yourself out there, but it's tricky, because it's like, sort of your viewers, some viewers who will be there, and then you don't know what the reception will be like, but it's what you make, and it's up for discussion and debate.
I think, though, any kind of response is positive, even if a person is offended by something that's so in your face, because the reaction is going to cause some other further reaction, right? So
at least it'll cause conversation.
Which is so important around this kind of topic. So I'm so grateful you guys had time to stop by. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Did we miss anything?
We're just really pumped about the opening. So I guess we should just let everyone know that it is at 7 to 10 on the 8th of March.
Next Saturday.
Yeah, and there's going to be music provided too by New Day Records and Accessories. So it's all vinyl all night. And then we have cake from New G's Bakadeli, and drinks and lots of fun. So I hope everyone comes, and we're expecting a pretty big audience. So
Everyone's welcome, and admissions by donation. And the show will carry on for another week until March 15th.
Yeah, and it ends on March 15th. And then I guess we can also let you know that for those of you who already know about Urban Infill, that's our massive kind of exhibition series downtown Port Arthur. So that's going to have a special showcase of Sophia's work as
wonderful.
well. So that'll open on the 29th of March.
So is Sophia Wallace is going to be here next Saturday?
Yes, she's here to talk for at least a half hour, and she's staying in town. It's her first time coming to Canada, so
Wonderful.
yeah, we're excited to host her.
Well, I'm very excited about the show. I'm glad you came by, and come back anytime.
Thank you.
All of
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
So you are listening to a special edition of the Betty Howls Show here on CILU Radio 102.7 FM. I have a song ready to play, one of my favorite singers, Aimee Mann, and I think that I have Lost in Space ready. Yes, I do. So let's check that out here on CILU Radio.
Lost in space, a bubble drifting to a place where planets shift and the moon's erased, its features lift in the glare. But I'm the stuff of happy endings, though mostly bluff, belief suspending, but close enough for just pretending to care. And I'm pretending to care when I'm not even there. Gone, but I don't know Well, she's the face, and I'm the devil who keeps the pace and clears the rubble, and lost in space fills up the bubble with air that